ولدي يا نسها نحن نجحنا وإلى المجد بعزم قد وصلنا وزرعنا جهدنا طول الليالي وأتى اليوم الذي فيه حصدنا.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم، والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم. أبناء الطلاب، بنات الطالبات، نرجو أن نواصل حصصنا في مادة اللغة الإنجليزية. وحقيقة كثير من الاستفسارات من الطلاب بيسألوا من وضع الليتريتشا وبيطالبوا أنه يعملوا حصص بتاعت مراجعة في الليتريتشا، فلذلك حصة اليوم إن شاء الله سوف تكون مراجعة في الليتريتشا. وقبل ما أبدأ في الليتريتشا حقيقة أول حاجة أشرح للطالب أنه الامتحان بتاعك طبعا الدرجة كلها 100، معروف الدرجة 100، امتحان الشهادة السودانية الإنجليزي المادة 100. فيها جزئين اثنين، الجزء الأول compulsory، this is what we call إجباري، compulsory إجباري COMPULSOR. compulsory درجة 75 درجة، 75 درجة، ولحية الطالب يخلي باله منها كويس. ال 75 درجة مقسمة كالآتي: عندك composition، سؤال بتاع composition وده 15 ماركس زي ما واضحة افتكر في الشاشة، 15 ماركس. عندك السؤال الثاني بيكون comprehension طبعا 30 درجة، 30 درجة، 15 سؤال 30 درجة، كل سؤال بدرجتين. السؤال الثالث summary، السؤال الثالث summary 8 درجات، دي السمري الأولى في الجزء الإجباري 8 درجات. السؤال الرابع بيكون اسمه language درجاته 22، والدرجات تحت اللانجوج مقسمة كالآتي: تنسز، سؤال بتاع تنسز 7 درجات، ده لما يديك الفعل بين قوسين يقول لك مثلا علي رايد بين قوسين، علي رايد، شايف داش a composition at this time. طبعا الطالبين حيصرف حيقول علي is writing composition at this time. This is what we call the tenses، 7 درجات. then the affixes بنقصد بها السفكس والبريفكس، تكلمنا عنها قبل كده. سفكس بريفكس ديل 5 الاثنين بيطلع عن 10 درجات. السؤال الاخير هنا جاب فيلينج من الاماكن الشهر، برضه اشتغلنا نماذج منه ان شاء الله ثاني حنكرر. ديل لما تجمعي مع بعض بيطلع عن 22 اللي هي ال 22 هنا دي، ولو جمعت ديل هنا 15 30 8 22 بتعمل لي 75 درجه. ده الجزء الاول اسمه كومبلسري، نقولها ثاني بالله. الجزء الاول اسمه كومبلسري، الجزء الاجباري، ده بيشتغلوا اي طالب. اسئلته كالاتي: السؤال الاول كومبوزيشن 15 درجه، السؤال الثاني كومبريهنشن 30 درجه، السؤال الثالث سمري 8 درجات، السمري الاولى. السؤال الرابع اسمه اللانجوج، درجاته 22 كلها. ال 22 مقسمه كالاتي: اول حاجه فيها تنسز، افعال بين اقواس، صرفها تصريفها الصحيح ب7 درجات. افيكسز، بالافيكس مقصود بها السفكس والبريفكس 10 درجات، 5 سفكس 5 بريفكس، الاثنين بيعمل 10. سؤال جاب فيلينج من الاماكن الشاغره، والسؤال ده درجاته 5، بيديك 5 كلمات، 5 اماكن شاغره، المفروض تملا الاماكن الشاغره بالكلمات الموجوده. ده الجزء الاجباري. الجزء الثاني اللي هو اسمه اوبشنال هنا بكيسيه اختياري. اوبشنال معناها انك انت في فرصتين، اما تشتغل الجزء الاول ده، الجزء الاول اللي ممكن نسميه سكشن A، وطبعا درجاته 25 درجه. السكشن الاول ده سكشن A ده فيه ليتر، رساله، وان شاء الله حنتكلم عن كتابه الرسائل في حصصنا الجايه، ب10 درجات 10 ماركس. في A and B سنتنس، او ممكن نسميها سيميلر مينينجز، معنى مشابهه، يديك سنتنس A كامله، سنتنس B ناقصه، في كلمه في الهامش، المفروض تكمل الجمله B، مستفيد من الكلمه في الهامش عشان في النهايه A و B يكون معناهم واحد، دي بنسميهم سيميلر سنتنس، معنى مشابهه، دي ب5 درجات. السؤال بتاع سمري هنا برضه 5 درجات 5 ماركس. واخر سؤال في سؤال بتاع بروبوزيشنز ب5 درجات، لما تجمع ديل بيديك 25. ده الطالب ممكن يختار سكشن A اللي هو ده فيه ليتر رايتنج، وفيه سيميلر مينينجز معنى مشابهه، فيه سمري، سؤال بتاع سمري، فيه بروبوزيشنز 5 درجات، دي لما تجمعهم بيعمل لك 25 درجه. او الطالب ممكن يشتغل الليتريتشر. يلا دي بقى حقيقه الطلاب بيسالوا منها كثير جدا، يقول لك احنا قالوا لنا الليتريتشر اجباري. ما اجباري، يا تختار انت الجزء ده او تختار الليترتشر. والليله ان شاء الله بصدد التحدث عن الليترتشر. الليترتشر طبعا درجاتها 25 مارك، 25 درجه، عشان تكمل مع ال 75 تعمل 100. انت عندك تو بوكس. في كتاب اسمه تريج ايلاند. This is تريج ايلاند، اتمنى ان الطلبه كلهم يكونوا تريج ايلاند. وتريج ايلاند حقيقه درجاته 12 ماركس. 12 ماركس. انا متاكد الزملاء في المدارس المختلفه بكون يعني اختاروا الطلاب بالكتب دي وبكون درسهم، لأ انا متاكد ما عندي شك في ذلك، لكن بس احنا بنعمل حته بتاعت يعني تاكيد لاشياء. الكتاب الثاني Things Fall Apart، اللي بيحبوا الترجمه نسميها الاشياء تتداعى او الاشياء تتساقط. ده بكون 13 ماركس والتوتال بتاعهم بيطلع 25 درجه. افتكر كده كده وضحت. وان شاء الله الليله هنتكلم عن الليترتشر. الليترتشر اول حاجه عندنا ذا فيرست بوك تريج ايلاند. تريج ايلاند ذا كويشنز، الاسئله بتاعت تريج ايلاند بيكون كالاتي. طبعا الدرجات 12 ماركس. الاسئله على 3 شاكله. الشاكله الاولى بتكون عباره عن شورت انسرز. شورت انسرز this is number 1، اجابه قصيره. and then multiple choice questions، اختر الاجابه الصحيحه، ضع دائره حول الاجابه الصحيحه. السؤال الثالث والاخير منها اللي هو false and true. نحن we have good examples، عندنا امثله كويسه جدا. we will discuss these questions together. هنجاوب ان شاء الله على الاسئله دي مع بعض. Now let us begin by what? Answer the following questions. طبعا you must know the writer of the book. This is very important. They will ask you هيسألوك the writer الكاتب the writer of the book. This is very important. Of course the writer of this book everybody can tell it I'm sure. Yeah, his name is what? Robert Louis Stevenson. This is the person who has written this book. Of course they will ask you about who retold the book. Retold the book. Retold the book that means اللي هو اللي بيحكي القصة. Retold the book. عاد حكي القصة اللي هو ستيفن كولبورن. Stephen Colborn. I hope the camera is going to give you the chance to see the name here, you see. And then we have what we call the narrator. Narrator اللي هو الشخص اللي بيتحدث في القصة. طبعا of course here we have two persons as we will see. We have the first person. This is Jim Hawkins. Yes, the small boy. And then the second one is Dr. Livesey, of course. If they ask you, there are two questions to be remembered here. Who is the writer of Treasure Island? You must say the writer of Treasure Island is Robert, yes, Louis Stevenson. This is very important. And then he will ask you, who retold the story? Yes, the story, I'm sure you remember. The story is retold by Stephen Colborn. You'll find it the first page of the book. The narrator of the story. The narrator, يحكي القصة. Two persons, one of them is Jim Hawkins, the boy, and the second one is Dr. Livesey, of course. Now let us see the nature of the questions for this book. طبيعة الأسئلة. قلنا the first part, yes, of the exam is going to be like this. They will ask you very simple questions. Short answers. Answer the following questions. These are short answers questions. إجابات قصيرة. The first question, I hope you can see it clearly. Yes. Who is the first stranger who comes to the inn? الفندق. Yes. A small hotel. The first stranger. أول شخص غريب came to the inn. Of course, everybody can tell it, I'm sure. Yeah? You tell it? Yeah, he is called Captain Bill. Or, yes, Captain Billy. Bill. B-I-L-L, of course. Who is, let me repeat the question and then the answer. Who is the first stranger who comes to the inn? This is the old sailor, the old sailor, Captain Bill or Captain Billy. This is a question number one. Of course, he will ask you, how does blind Bill die? Blind Bill. Blind, in Arabic you say kafif. Yes? Bill, this is the name of the person who came to the inn, Bimbo Inn. He came to Captain Bill. He gave him, let me say, a piece of paper. That piece of paper, of course, you remember the story, contained a black spot, بقعة سوداء. He put the black spot on the left hand of Captain Bill. How did he die? كيف مات. Of course, you remember the answer. The answer is very simple. Yeah, the horses of the customs men ran over him. The customs soldiers, the soldiers of the customs, العساكر, the horses of the soldiers ran over Plan B. That's why he died. And then the question number 3, what is Long John Silver's job on the ship? Of course, you remember the story. You remember that Trelawney, Square Trelawney went to Bristol to charter a ship. Yes, and then he met Long John Silver. Long John Silver helped Square Trelawney to find the sailors, Bahara. طيب, he's asking about the job of Long John Silver in the ship. Yes, you remember his job? Of course you remember. Yes, he was the cook of the ship, طباخ. And then here we have the last question. It is like this. What is the name of the ship? You remember I have just mentioned that Square Trelawney went to the island. He went to Bristol to charter a ship, أجر سفينة. He chartered a ship, أجر سفينة, of course. And then he's asking me about the name of that ship. That ship was called Hispaniola. Hispaniola. You have to be very careful about the spelling. The Hispaniola, Hispaniola. You must be very careful. Let me say it again. Hispon, yes, Sila, Hispaniola. Hispan, yes, Iolan, Hispaniola. This is the name of the ship. Here, they will ask you a question like this. Okay, how many ships did Square Trelawney charter? Actually, he chartered two ships, أجر سفينتين. The first ship, Hispaniola, and the second ship would come, حتأتي, if they did not return after 2 months. This is very important, you see. Again, he will ask you a very important question. How long did the journey take? رحلة أخذت كم? The journey to Treasure Island. Yeah, I'm sure you can tell. It took about 1 month, شهر. Again, he will ask you, how long did they need to prepare a ship? If you go to the book, you'll find that it needs about 3 weeks, 3 أسابيع. Let me say this again quickly. This is the first part of the questions. This is number 1, who is the first stranger who comes to the inn? Number 2, how does Blind Bew die? Number 3, what is Long John Silver's job, مهنة أو مهمته, on the ship? And then the last question, what is the name of the ship? اسم السفينة. Now you will be given the second type of question, نوع ثاني من الأسئلة. And this is what we call multiple choice questions. إجابات. Yes, there are 4 options, 4 خيارات, 4 alternatives, 4 بدائل. You are going to choose the best one. Of course, when you come to answer such kind of question, you must be very careful, you see. You read the question very carefully, and then you read the alternatives, الخيارات, the options, البدائل, carefully, because such kind of questions are very tricky, خادع جدا. Let me read the question, and then I'm going to read the options so that you can choose the best answer before I give it. Where do Jim and his parents live? They live in the first option, Hispaniola, Treasure Island, Bristol, Admiral Bimbo. Of course, you can tell the answer here. Yes, I'm sure everybody can tell it. Yeah, it is going to be Admiral Bimbo. Of course, Admiral Bimbo is found in the south coast of England. In the south coast of England, in the inn which is called Admiral Bimbo Inn. Admiral Bimbo Inn. Let us move to the question number 2. Why do Jim and his mother run to the village? Jim and his mother, Jim Hawkins, and his mother run to the village. Why did they run to the village? We have the options. To meet Silver, to get help, to get guns, to call customs, yes, men, customs men. بنسميهم خفر السواحل. Yes, عساكر الجمارك مسؤولين من the guarding of the coast. Of course, you can tell the answer. Yes, sure, everybody can tell the answer. Yeah, it's going to be what? Yeah, to get help. Why to get help? Because you remember we said that Blind Bill came to Captain Bill, and he told him that they would visit him. They would come to him in the what? In the inn, in the night. That's why Jim and his mother became very afraid, and they ran to the village to get some help from them. But actually the villagers, القرويين, were very afraid, كانوا خايفين جدا, and they did not come for their help. The help came from them, yes, by somebody who sent his son, ولده, to Dr. Livesey. And Dr. Livesey, yes, sent for the soldiers, اللي هو the customs men, who came and guarded the inn. This is very important. But yeah, if you are asked to answer this question, you will say, of course, to get help. Let me read the question and then the answer. Why do Jim and his mother run to the village? They ran to the village to get help. Yeah, this is number B. The question number 3, how many men go with silver to the island? How many men, after they reached, of course, Treasure Island, yes, some men went with silver to the island. So here, how many men went with silver to the island? Here we have the options: 20, 11, 12, 13. Yes, which answer are you going to choose? Of course, you are going to choose 12. 13 with when we count them and نحسب Jim Hawkins, but actually Jim Hawkins is a boy and he is not one of the men of silver. The total of them, they were 13, because 6 in one boat and 7 in the other boat. But actually, the men who were, let me say, part of Long John Silver were only 12. That's why we say 12 and not 13. The question number 4, where does Jim sleep in the ship? Yes. Here we could be answered. Yes, we could answer this question. Yes. Before we read the options. But actually, I want the students to be very careful. You must read the options. In a bed, in a hammock, yes, on the deck, and then the last one, in the gallery. In the galley, you see, in the galley. Hope it is clear. Yes, everybody can tell the answer. Yes, he was sleeping in the hammock, or in a hammock. So here we have the first part. This is short answers, and then this is multiple choice questions. Now we move to the last part, and this is going to be false, true. Check true or false. You read the state very, very carefully when you come to answer. The first question says, Bengan has been marooned for 3 years. Bengan, yes, you remember Bengan. Bengan went with some of Captain Flynn's men. He told them that he wanted to find the treasure with them. And when they went there, لما مشوا الجزيرة, they did not get the treasure, موجود الكنز. They became very angry, غضبوا منه, and then they left him in the island, تركوه في الجزيرة. So here, it is going to be what? It is going to be true, of course. Bengan has been marooned for 3 years. He has been marooned, yes, for how many years? For 3 years. Of course, later on, we will come and talk about this in detail. Now, the second question says, Captain Billy, yes, stays in the inn for several weeks. You say, عدد من الأسابيع. Yes, Captain Bill, the first stranger who came, the old sailor who came to Bimbo Inn, stayed for several weeks. Of course, this is true. Number 3, Square Trelawney is the owner of the ship. Owner, Malik. Here, when we say the owner, بنقصد المالك. لكن actually, he was not the owner. He chartered the ship. Don't be misled here, you see. He was not the owner. ما مالك السفينة. He chartered the ship. هو أجر السفينة. عشان كده owner means مالك. Actually, he was not the owner of the ship. ما كان مالك السفينة. He was the charterer of the ship. So we say this is false. The last one says, Jim tells his friends that he is going, yes, to the island. Of course, this is false because it is not given to us in the story. We do not know about that, so we say this is false. They will ask you about the age of Jim Hawkins when he went in this voyage, هذه الرحلة البحرية. Of course, you remember his age. He was 12 years age. He was 12 years old. And then they will ask you about what happened to Bengan at the end of the story. Of course, he was given his share, منح نصيبه في الكنز, and he spent the whole money in something like 3 weeks, في 3 أسابيع, and then again he became what? A beggar. This is about what we call Treasure Island. Now let us move to the second book. And the second book is, of course, this is what we call Things Fall Apart. Yes, literature, the book Things Fall Apart. In Arabic you say الأشياء تتداعى or تتصاغط. Of course, the writer of this book is Chinua Achebe. Chinua Achebe is a Nigerian writer, a famous Nigerian writer, كاتب مشهور. He won the Nobel Peace Prize, فاز بجائزة نوبل السلام in the 1970s, في السبعينات القرن الماضي. And now we read about him, of course. Very important writer. It's just like طيب صالح in Sudan. ليه طيب صالح المرحوم طيب صالح is a novelist. He wrote very fantastic, of course, stories. And you remember one of his stories, of course. We have what we call مسمهير الشمال, Season of Migration to the North, مريود, yes. And then we have دومة ح8, you see, نخلة على الجدول. These are the stories which are written by طيب صالح, very famous, مرحوم طيب صالح. We read about Chinua Achebe, Nigerian, yes. And the questions are like this. You have also 3 types of questions, 3 أنواع من الأسئلة. The first type of question is going to be multiple choice questions. It makes no difference. You begin by multiple choice questions. بعدها يروحوا الإجابة الصحيحة. And then we have short answers, of course. And then later on we will see the last type of question. This is the table. You are going to match column A with column B. Let us begin by this. Of course, here you must know that the book is about Nigeria, and you remember that the district that we have here is called Umuofia. Of course, the people of Umuofia, سكان Umuofia, were very famous farmers, مزارعين مشهورين جدا. They planted what we call oil palm. Yes, this is only the crop that meant the palm oil, you see. And the Europeans الأوروبيين came to that district بالتحديد in particular in order to get that palm oil. Here we have the questions. Draw, yes, a circle, دائرة, round the letter of the best answer. The first question says, how did Okonkwo, this is the hero of the story, بطل القصة, feel when he talked to Obarika? This is after he had killed Ikmefona, the child from Mabino. You remember? Ikmefona, his father, killed a woman from Umuofia, and then the people of Umuofia wanted to go in war with them. They have 2 options, either to give them, let me say, a young boy and then a young girl, or to go in war with them. So the people of Mabin were afraid of Umuofia people because they were very brave and they were very strong. That's why they decided to give the boy and then the girl. Here, how did Okonkwo feel when he talked to Obarika after he had killed Ikmefona? Of course, he killed Ikmefona, of course. The options: much stronger, much better, much happier, very sad. Very sad. Yes, you remember the answer? Before I give the answer, I'm sure you can give the answer. The answer is much better. He felt much better. Let me repeat this again. After he had killed Ikmefona, he felt very sad for something like 3 days, and he could not sleep well. Yes? He could not sleep well after he had killed Ikmefona because Ikmefona was just like his son, Niwi. But after that, he went to his friend Obarika. Yes, he talked with him. After his talk with Obarika, he felt much better. حس براحة. The second question, what is an Ogbanji? Ogbanji, they pronounce it like this. They say Ogbanji. We have 4 answers. It is a child that dies and never returns. This is the first option. Second option, B. It is a child that, yes, it is a child that always ill. I hope you can see it. It is a child that dies many times and returns. And the last one, it is a child that does not die. Of course, you can tell the answer. Yeah, you remember Izinema, the daughter of Okonko, was an Ogbanji. You remember the answer? Yeah, I'm sure it is going to be this one. It is a child that dies many times and returns to be born again. Nui, yes, I asked one of the Nigerians. They say to me the end is silent, so they say we. But actually we pronounce it as it is Nui. Liked the new religion, الديانة الجديدة, اللي هو the Christianity, because يعني حب الديانة الجديدة. Number A, he liked the music, حب الموسيقى, ترانيم بتاعت الكنيسة. He did not like the customs of the clan, عادات القبيلة بتاعته. He was afraid of his father. And the last one, the new religion told people to love everybody. Yes, I'm sure you can tell the answer. Yeah, the answer is going to be the last one. Nui like the new religion because the new religion told people to love everybody. The new religion that we have here, of course, you can tell it. Yes, it is the Christianity, Masihiyya. Number 4, nearly everybody in Abami, this is the name of a place, has been killed. This is said by من الذي قال ذلك. Okonko, Oberika, Mr. Kiaja, yes, Yochondo. Yes, who said this? We have 4 options: Okonko, Oberika, Mr. Kiaja, Yochondo. Yochondo, of course, this is what we call the uncle, Khal, the uncle of, yes, Okonko. This is the uncle of Okonko, Khalu. Yes, this is said by Okonko. By Yochondo. Yeah. Let me read this again. Yeah, nearly everybody, تقريبا أي شخص in Abami, في منطقة Abami, has been killed. Who said this? This is said by Yochondo. What is the relation? If you are asked what is the relation between Okonko and Yochondo, you say that Yochondo is the uncle of Okonko. Yes, of course he was living in Mabanta, sorry. Number 5, the novel Things Fall Apart is retold by من الذي عاد حكي هذه القصة؟ كينو واجبي, Robert Louis Stevenson. Here we have Stephen Colburn, and then here we have John Davy. Of course, you have to be very careful here. He's not asking about the what, about the writer. He's asking about who retold the story. من الذي أعاد حكي القصة. If you go to the book, you'll find that it is by John Davy. This is the first part, the question, multiple choice questions, and I hope you have given the answer correctly before I tell the answer. You must be very careful. Then we go to the second part. Answer, yes, the questions below shortly. أجيب على هذه الأسئلة باختصار. I hope everybody can see this because the writing is very small. The letters are very small, yes. What is the difference between a male crime and a female crime? Yes, I will read it again. The difference, he's asking about the difference between a male crime, yes, and then a female crime. Male crime different from female crime. What is the difference? Yes, can you tell? A male crime, this is a crime which is done on purpose. الجريمة التي ترتكب عمدا, they call it male crime. But when the crime is committed accidentally, we say بالصدفة, this is called female crime. And remember that Okonko committed a female crime when he killed the son of Izido, the wise man in Yomofia. Yeah, he killed him by accident in the funeral of his father. That's why he was punished by exile, Nefi, for something like 7 years away from the clan. Yeah. He committed a female crime. Female crime, let me repeat this again, is a crime which is done accidentally, بالصدفة, but the male crime is the crime which is done on purpose. In Arabic we say عمدا, on purpose. Purpose, P-U-R-P-O-S-E. Then here, what happened to the first white man who came to Abami. The first white man who came to Abami. What happened to him? Of course, you remember. Of course, he was killed. He was killed by the people of Abami. They killed him. And then they tied his iron horse, his bicycle, to a tree. They thought that the bicycle or the horse, the iron horse, would run and tell the people. The last question here, why did, yes, the interpreter say the machineries had come to Mabanta? Yes? Of course, you remember this. Yeah, he said that the people came, the machineries, al-Mubashirin came to Mabanta to tell the people that there is only one God and they must worship the new God and their religion is what we call Christianity. Of course, this is the last type of question. Here we have match A with B by putting the letter of, yes, the right answer from B in front of A in column C. I'm sure you can do this. Here we have A. Everyone know that. The oracle have said that. Twin babies. Ikmufonus father. The week of peace. Yes. These are the what? The A what? The A column words. Here we have column C. Killed a woman. Bring back luck to their parents every year. Izinama was an Ugbanji. And then here, the stranger would destroy the clan. Of course, you can tell the answer. Everyone know that. I'm sure you can tell. Everyone know that. Everyone know that Izinama was an Ugbanji. The oracle have said that. The oracle have said that. Yes, I'm sure you can tell. The stranger would, yes, destroy the clan. This is said by the oracle. Ilah. Twin babies, yes. Twin babies, the Teman, yes. Bring bad luck to their families. Ikmufonus father, what did he do? Yes, he killed a woman. He killed a woman, sorry. He killed a woman. Yes, Ikmufonus father was in Mabino. Yes, he killed a woman from Umofia. That's why Ikmufona was given to the people of Umofia. The week of peace, yes, of course, it's going to be every year. This is how you answer the questions of this table. Okay? Here I have given you something like 4 questions. I want you to try to answer these questions. The first question says, I hope everybody can read them clearly. How much was Captain Flynn's treasure? How much? You go and answer this question. Why do Jim, yes, and his mother run to the village? Of course, you can answer this. What was the real reason behind the coming of the white people to, yes, to Umofia? And then the last question, what was Okonko's punishment, العقوبة التي يعني أعطيت لأوكونكو, for beating his 3rd wife in the week of peace? Of course, the literature is very interesting, and I hope you go and read the book very carefully so that you can give good answers in the questions of the examination. Dear students, with this I come to the conclusion of my lesson for today, and I hope to see you next time. أشكركم جزيلا على هذا الحضور، وأتمنى أن نلتقي بكم في حصة قادمة إن شاء الله. وقبل أن أبرح هذا المكان أرجو أن أقدم شكري الجزيل وتقديري لأسرة قناة طيبة للعمل الذي يقومون به، وجزاهم الله عنا كل خير. السلام عليكم ورحمة الله تعالى وبركاته.
غردي يا نسها نحن نجحنا، وإلى المجد بعزم قد وصلنا، وزرعنا جهدنا طول الليالي، وأتى اليوم الذي فيه حصدنا. غردي يا نسها نحن نجحنا، وإلى المجد بعزم قد وصلنا، وزرعنا جهدنا طول الليالي، وأتى اليوم الذي فيه حصدنا. عانق العلياء يا نفس بفخر، سطري شعرا سل الأنجم عنا، ما لهونا يوم أن جاءت خطوب بل صمدنا.